Hey guys, welcome back to Wixfix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. In today's video, we're going to be designing the homepage for a brand new, modern freelancer or agency type website. Now, if you are an agency or a freelancer and you do like the design of this website, then I will be building out additional pages, making sure it's all responsive, and it will be for sale on my website. So if you are interested in using this for your own website, then feel free to click the link in the description and grab a copy of it for yourself today. But let's go ahead and get started. Now for this video, I have already designed the header and the footer. One, because I feel like I've already done that a bunch on this channel. So if you are interested in seeing that, then you can check out some of my other web design videos. But two, because I just kind of want to skip to the fun part. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first section that we're going to be designing is going to be the hero section. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and give us a lot more space to work with by bumping up the minimum height of this section to 900. Then what I want to do is just go ahead and apply a grid to this section. For this, we're just going to do a 2x1, just like that. Perfect. Now, what I want to do over here on the right is actually add a container. Now over here on the right, it's going to be an image, but I do want to do something kind of different for it. So we're going to go ahead and stretch this container to the full width of the screen or this column. And then we're going to apply another 2x1 grid to it. However, for this grid, we're actually going to go into the advanced settings and we are going to set this right column to maybe like 0.7 FR, something like that. Because we want this to be a little bit more space on this left column than the right. Now let's go ahead and press done. Now, what I want to do before I even add the image is actually just remove the background color from this container box real quick. And then now we can go ahead and add the image. Now for this image, I do want it to take up the full container box. So we're just going to stretch it right over the line. And then we're going to change the image. I have chosen this image for now. This might change, but now what I want to do is just go ahead and add a container box on top. For this one, we're going to go ahead and make sure it's in the right column, and we're going to set the color to the same as the background color. Now, what I want to do here is actually set the minimum height to 100%. Then what I want to do is go ahead and align it to the left and top, just like that. And for the width, let's go ahead and make it like 30 pixels. Perfect. Now what I want to do is just go ahead and copy and paste this container. And we're going to set the height of it to maybe like 60 pixels. Then what I want to do is send it to the left and top. But for the width, let's go ahead and set this one to 100%. Now let's go ahead and copy and paste this container box right here. We're going to attach it to the left and we're going to attach it to the bottom. So now we kind of have like this nice little window effect right here. However, I don't think I like how this image is propped up right against this header. So I'm going to go ahead and select this section and I'm going to add like 80 pixels of margin to the top, and we'll go ahead and do that to the bottom as well. Now, if you wanted to, you could obviously change the image, but for now, I think I'm just going to try to change the focal point a little bit. It might just be better to leave it as like this. I think that does look better. Now, if we scroll down, this is what we're going to see, and it looks really cool. Then on this left side, of course, we're going to want to add some text because this is the hero section. So let's add a title. Let's add a paragraph, and we're just going to add a simple button, just like that. Okay, for this title, let's go ahead and say design adds value. And for this, we're going to make it pretty large. Let's say like 120 pixels, maybe 90. I think that looks really good. And then let's also go ahead and change the line height because we don't need it that much spacing. Typically I see 1.2. I think that typically looks really good. Now with the paragraph selected, I'm just going to copy and paste in some text, just like that. And then for the button, let's go ahead and move it down here. We'll change the text to read more. And what we want to do is actually come over here to this button right here. We're going to click on this button. We're going to right click and we're going to say copy element design from all breakpoints. And you're going to notice that the mouse changed to like a paintbrush. And if we hover over this button and click it, it's going to change the design of this button to look like this one over here, which I really do like. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just select all three of these elements and press stack. Now, what I want to do in here is just kind of center it up inside of this field right here. And then let's go ahead and dock it to the right. That way, when we resize the screen, it's always kind of connected to the right side. I'm not going to use the scaling text technique for this video. However, if you are interested in learning more about that, I will have a video linked in the description. But now this section is kind of large, so maybe we don't need it to be 900 pixels. Maybe let's go ahead and set it to, let's say 700. Let's see what that looks like. I think that looks a lot better and a lot cleaner. It's not as long and distracting. And with that, we might be able to fit more of the image in here. So let's just play with the focal point a little bit more. I think that looks almost perfect. That is almost exactly what I want it to look like. So this is perfect. All right, now let's go ahead and do the next section. So we're gonna come over here, we're gonna add a new section. For this one, it is going to be quite large, so let's just go ahead and set it to like 1100 pixels. And for the background, we're actually going to choose like a darker color. Let's go ahead and choose like just a black for now. And then what I want to do is just go ahead and we're going to add a container. We're going to set the container to like 80% width. And let's just for now set the height to 1100 as well. And we'll dock it to the center and the top. Now for this, let's just go ahead and remove the background color from it. We're going to apply a grid, which it's going to be 1 by 2. Now I do want to alter the grid a little bit. So maybe this left column is like 0.6. I think that looks really good. And basically over here, we're going to have some text. And then over here, we're going to have a nice little grid area. So let's just start with the text real quick. So we're going to add a title. And we're going to add a paragraph. Okay, for this title, of course, let's go ahead and make it white. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste in some text. And we're going to make it quite large. Let's say like 45. Now let's go ahead and grab this paragraph text. We're going to paste in some text. And of course, we want to make it white as well, which if you want it to look a little bit nicer, let's actually go for a little bit darker of a color. That way the title kind of pops out more. And if the user is interested in learning a little bit more, they can read the paragraph underneath it. But we're just going to grab both of these and we're going to press stack. And for now, let's just go ahead and dock this stack to the top and left. The next thing I want to do over here in this right column is actually add a repeater. And what we're going to do is change the setting from cards to grid cells. And then what I want to do is just expand this to the full width of the column. Now, what I want to do is add a fourth item. So we're going to do duplicate item. And what I want to do is set the gap between them to 20 pixels. And for the minimum width, let's go ahead and set it to viewport width. And let's just start playing around. Let's do 12. Okay, so what we want is a 2 by 2 grid cell system basically. So we don't want 3 on the top. So now let's go up to 15 and just try that out. Now let's try 20, see what that does. Perfect, that did exactly what we wanted. Now I'm gonna select the repeater item and let's just go ahead and make this like a little bit darker. For this, I think I wanna do something like this right here. And then what I want to do is add an image, a small title, and a paragraph text. So let's go ahead and add our images. So I'm gonna come over to media and go to show more. And for this first one, let's just choose this one right here. We're gonna stretch it out to be a little bit bigger and we're just gonna stick it right here. Now what we want to do is just add a title. And then we're also gonna add a paragraph. For this title, let's go ahead and bring it out just a little bit. We're going to change it to white, obviously, but we're also going to lower the size of the text to maybe like 20 pixels, something really small. And for this paragraph text, let's bring it out to the same width as the title. I'm going to go ahead and paste in the text, and I'm obviously going to make it white, which actually, let's go a little bit darker, just like we did before. And we'll just bring it down just about there. We'll grab all 3 items and we'll press stack. So now we have created a stack with all these 3 items. Now for this image, we don't need that much space. So let's go ahead and give it like 50 pixels of space instead of 70. This title, let's go ahead and just set it to an even 30, just like that. And I think that looks really good. So basically now what I'm going to go ahead and do is go into each one of these other items, replace the image, the title, and the paragraph. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, awesome. So now with that all done, let's go ahead and try to resize this grid a little bit. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and select this stack, and let's go ahead and give it some margins of like 40 pixels on all sides. Then we can go ahead and select the repeater, and we're going to set the row minimum height from 300 to 200. And what we're also going to make sure is keep rows equal is turned on. Next, what we're going to do is grab this container from the background. We're going to change grid layout, and we are going to set this 1100 to, let's try 900. Let's see what that does. So if we take a look at our grid, you know, everything looks a little squished. We're actually going to set it to minimum content. So we're going to change 1100 to minimum content, and we're going to press done. So basically what that's doing is we basically added margins to our elements here, but let's go ahead and change. But it looks like I forgot to put it on the bottom here. So we're going to make sure that 40 pixels is on the bottom as well to give it space between the content and the edge of the item. Next, let's go ahead and grab this container. We're going to set 80 pixels of margin on the top and the bottom. And then what we're going to do is grab the actual section itself and we'll set the minimum content to none, or minimum height to none. Which, looking at it now, it looks like we might need a little bit more space. So let's go ahead and grab this container and let's bump up the margins to like 120. I think that looks a lot better. So now we have a nice little hero section that kind of gives your users an idea of what you do. Then down here, we have a list of 4 different services that you would provide. But now let's go ahead and add another section. This section is mostly going to just be for more information. So let's go and add section. As usual, let's go ahead and bump up the size so we have room to work with. And we're also going to go ahead and add a container. We're going to make it 80%. And we're going to center it and send it to the top. And just for now, let's go ahead and make this 900 pixels high. And for this one, we also will not need a background, so we're just going to remove that as well. And we're going to apply a 1x2 grid for this one. And before we change anything here, let's go ahead and add another container inside this top column, or row, I guess. And we're just going to stretch it. For this one, we're going to apply a 3x1 grid, and we're going to remove the background. Now we're going to go into grid settings, and we're going to set this one, the left column, to 1.5 FR. That way it's giving us a little bit more space to play with. And what I'm going to do is I'm also just going to grab this title right here. We're going to paste it into this column, but we're also just going to make sure that we change the text to black. And for now, let's go ahead and align it to the left and top. Now what I want to do is kind of do something similar to what we have here with this stack. So I'm just going to grab this stack, come to this column, and I'm just going to paste it in. Now for this one, I'm going to remove the image because we don't need the image. And I'm just going to change all of this text to black, which for the title right here, I'm just going to do like a dark gray. And I'm also going to lower the size to maybe something like 16. And then for this text right here, let's just go with something a little bit darker. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab this top text and make like the margins half the size. Great. So now what I want to do is just go ahead and add in the content here. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is send it to the left and top, just like that. And then we're gonna copy and paste this section, or this stack. We're gonna swing it over here to the right column. Once again, send it to the left and top. And now let's change the content here. Now that this top column is basically done, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is select this title. I'm gonna add like 80 pixels of margin to the bottom. Then I'm gonna select this container, go into the settings, and I'm going to make the minimum height, minimum content, just like that. And then what we're gonna do is select the background grid, go into the settings, and we're gonna set this one to minimum content as well. And for this one right here, this one's just gonna be a simple image. I think this size almost kind of works for this, so I think I'm gonna leave it at 450 pixels. So what we're gonna do is press done. We're gonna come over to the add panel, and we're just gonna drag out this image and stretch it. Now we can go ahead and change the image to something else. Awesome. Then what I'm gonna go ahead and do is select the container, and just like we did with this section above, we're gonna add 120 pixel of margin to the top and bottom. Then we're gonna grab the background section, and we're going to remove the minimum height. So once again, we have a nice hero section that kind of covers the gist of what your company offers. Then you actually have the services that cover what you offer. Then you have a little bit more information with a nice little graphic or image that kind of helps separate content with graphics a little bit more. But for this next section, it's going to be kind of like a call to action for your about page or something like that. So let's just go ahead and add a new section. This one's going to be pretty simple. Let's just go ahead and make this strip about 900 pixels. We're going to apply a 2x1 grid. Over here in the right, let's just go ahead and add an image, and we'll stretch it. And then over here to the right, what I want to do is come up to the hero section and copy this stack. We're going to bring it down here, and we're just going to paste it into this column. Now for this one, the content's going to be different, and I obviously don't want this title to be this big, so let's just bump it down to like 45. And I'm just gonna go ahead and paste in the content right here. And I'm also going to go ahead and paste in the description as well, which if we want the design to be more consistent with the rest of the site, I'm going to change the color to something a little lighter for this paragraph text. And I'm also going to go ahead and do that for the hero section as well. There we go. And then for this section, let's just go ahead and add 120 pixels of margin to this top and bottom of this stack. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and grab the section and remove the minimum height. And we're also going to go into the grid and remove the minimum height from here as well. Personally, I think we need to add a little bit more space. So maybe we can grab this stack and bump 120 to like 200 on either for the top and the bottom. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and grab the section, and we're going to add 120 pixels of padding on the bottom, just like that. And that's going to provide us with a little separation between this section and the next one, which this next one's actually going to be the last one on the page. And basically all it's going to be is somewhat of a testimonial. So what we're going to do is actually set this one to be quite large, just like everything else. And we're also going to switch back to a nice dark color. And what I want to do is I actually want to grab this title right here, and we're just going to paste it in. Now for this, let's go ahead and set it to like 80%. We'll make sure it's centered and just send it to the top for now. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of paste in the review from the client. And now let's go ahead and add a small container. We're just going to attach it right here. We're going to make it a lot smaller, and we're going to apply a 1x2 grid to it. And for now, let's also go ahead and remove the background. So now what I want to do is I want to copy this paragraph text. I'm going to go ahead and paste it down here. What I want to do is just go ahead and paste in a name. but I'm also going to kind of make it more bold. So I'm going to do like Poppins medium, and we're going to shrink it down quite a bit. And let's go ahead and put it inside of this little container. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and just copy and paste it. We're going to bring it out just a little bit so we have more text to play with. And I'm going to paste in something that looks like this, but we're actually going to switch back to Poppins Light. And we're also going to change the color to something a little darker. We are going to bring it in a little bit, and we're going to put it into this right hand side of this, or the right column of this box. So now what I want to do is actually go ahead and grab this container box, and we're going to go into the grid settings. For this left column, what we're going to do is change 1FR to minimum content. And basically what that's going to do is shrink up this section. However, what we're going to go ahead and do is set a minimum width. So let's just do like 200 pixels for now. And obviously that's going to be too much. So let's go ahead and backtrack slowly. Let's try like 160. Let's try 140. And I think that right there might be perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and select this container box, and we're going to select the review, and we're going to stack it. So now what I want to do is just go ahead and come over to the inspector panel. We're going to make sure all the items align to the left, are set to 80% width, are centered, and then what we're going to do is come down to the margins, and just like before, we're going to add like 120, but actually let's go ahead and do like 150 pixels of margin on the top and bottom. Then we're going to grab the section and remove the height. So now what we're left with is a nice little hero section, a section that has all your services listed, a little more information, something that can drive your users to your about page, and a nice testimonial, which for this testimonial, if you want to make the section a little bit bigger, instead of 80%, let's try like 60. And I think that also looks really nice. So it just brings it in a little bit more, makes the section a little bit taller. And that's basically the design of the homepage. Now in the footer, we have a nice little call to action for your users to subscribe to your website. And then below that, I am still working on the footer, but there will be additional stuff in the main template. But that basically wraps it up for the video today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And again, if you do want this template for yourself, feel free to click the link in the description and grab a copy of it for yourself today. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.